Hello my friends, welcome to season 4 of Dishing Out. Thank you so much for stopping by. If you're new around here or like what you see, subscribe and hit the bell down below for notifications. You can also follow us on Instagram or Twitter at Dishing Out Eats. Drop me a line, I'd love to chew the fat with you. And if you'd like to make anything you see here on the channel, and by the way you should, head on over to dishingouteats.com for all the written dish guides. Anyways, we've got 45 new episodes headed your way over the next 20 weeks, so let's not beat around the bush anymore. Here comes the content. In New York City, they've got the pizza pie, right? Thin but substantial dough, light on sauce. I'm sure you're familiar with it. Travel about 800 miles to the west, and you'll find an entirely different product. One that's much deeper. The Chicago-style deep dish pizza. It's got a thick crust, heavy on the cheese, and a layer of almost caramelized sauce across the top. In fact, some would say it's more of a casserole, but then again, I'm not sure a New York pizza is entirely a pie, so why should we let semantics get between us and a great bite of food? If you'd like to know how to make delicious thin crust style pizza, check out that link right up there. But if you want to make something deep and delicious, make this. We begin with the dough, which, unlike a Neapolitan-style pizza, contains cornmeal and is laminated or layered with butter. That is to say, you could use store-bought pizza dough for this, but your final product will not be as authentic. Anyway, in the bowl of a stand mixer, add 3 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour, a half a cup of yellow cornmeal, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1 tablespoon sugar, and 1 packet of rapid rise yeast. Alternatively, you could mix this in a bowl by hand. Turn on the mixer, or your hand, on low and incorporate the dry ingredients. Add 1/4 cup, that's half a stick, of melted unsalted butter and 1 1/4 cup of warm, not hot water. You want it around 100 to 110 degrees. Once the dough starts to come together, turn the mixer to medium and let it knead the dough for 3 to 4 minutes or until smooth and tacky. Drizzle the bowl with olive oil. Coat the dough, cover it, and put it in a warm place and let it rise for 1 to 2 hours or until almost doubled in size. At this point, you can either proceed with the rest of the recipe or put the risen dough in the fridge for up to 2 to 3 days. When you are ready to deep dish out, flour a work surface and turn out the dough. Roll it out to about 1/3 of an inch thick and rub on 1/4 cup or another half a stick of softened unsalted butter. Leaving the butter out for a couple hours will help it soften, but if it's still a bit cold, your hands will do the trick. Just be sure not to tear holes in the dough as you spread on the butter. Once fully coated, fold the dough up like a brochure. This is known as laminating or layering the dough and helps make it fluffy and flaky. Form it back into a ball and place it back in your greased bowl. Place it in the fridge for an hour to allow that butter to firm up once more. I should point out that while there are several steps to this process, it can all be done ahead of time, including the preceding sauce and topping, so it's a great make-ahead dish. While the buttered dough rests, add 1 pound of sausage, I'm using spicy Italian, but you do you, to a skillet and cook, crumbling it up as the fat renders. Once cooked, remove the sausage, but reserve the fat. Add 8 ounces of sliced mushrooms, button or cremini, whatever you prefer, to the skillet, and salt them, using the moisture they release to scrape up any fond on the bottom of the pan. Add a splash of water if needed. After the mushrooms soften and brown, add 1 diced green pepper, about half a cup worth, and cook for just a minute or 2 so that it's no longer raw. Remove the mushrooms and peppers and add half of a yellow onion that's been diced very finely or even grated. Add a splash of oil if needed. Add 2 teaspoons of Italian seasoning. When the onions are soft and translucent, add in 3 cloves of minced or crushed garlic. Cook for 1 more minute and then add a 28-ounce can of crushed tomatoes along with half a teaspoon of sugar and a tablespoon of balsamic vinegar to waken up those sweet and savory notes. Add 2 tablespoons of unsalted butter for richness, Stir to incorporate as this melts, and simmer with the lid slightly off for about 20 to 25 minutes over low heat until the sauce reduces slightly and you can see the bottom of the pan when you slide a spatula through it. Alright, at this point all this could have been done ahead of time, but now it is time to make and bake the pie or pizza. So roll the dough out on a floured work surface about 3 inches larger than your baking dish. You could divide the dough in half if you're using 8 or 9 inch skillets or pans, but I'm using a big 12-inch cast iron skillet, so I'm doing all the dough in one pan. Butter or oil the skillet on all sides and carefully lay in the dough, using your fingers to press it into all the corners and up the edges. Cut off any overhanging pieces of dough. Lay down a layer of low moisture mozzarella slices. These are just deli slices of mozz. This is about 8 ounces or half a pound. We're going to follow that with a layer of provolone, the same amount, about 8 ounces. Sprinkle on your sausage, followed by the mushrooms and peppers, and make sure you drain off any unwanted liquid from the mushrooms and peppers. We do not want that in our final product. Spoon over the thick and luscious tomato sauce. Make sure to coat all the toppings evenly. And finally, shave on some fresh Parmigiano cheese. We're going to place this in a 425-degree oven for 30 to 40 minutes until the crust is golden brown and the sauce is bubbling up the sides. Remove it from the oven, place it on a cooling rack or on a cool surface, and summon every bit of patience that you can in the world to let it rest for at least 15 minutes. Garnish your deep dish pizza with some basil that has been torn or chiffonade. Give it an extra dusting of Parmigiano and prepare for the ooey gooey cheese pull of a lifetime. The crust is flaky like a pastry, but substantial enough to hold all of our fillings. The sauce is thick, it's rich, it's full of umami flavor notes, and the fresh herbs and cheese on top cut through all of the richness below. It's a decadent bite. A couple hours in the making for sure, but so well worth it. If the only pizza you know comes on a cracker-thin crust, I hope you'll give this Windy City rendition on the classic pie a try. No matter how you fill it or top it, I can guarantee you will have something delicious.